Your old reality is losing its grip on you, okay? You may be still standing in the same life, but something inside you doesn't belong there anymore. See, your wealthy reality is starting to feel more like you than the life that you're currently living right now. Now, I'm going to give you 50 different confirmations that's happening to you right now. Now, you're physically there, but mentally, you already left, right? You still show up, you still handle what needs to be handled, but deep inside, you feel like this chapter is finished. You feel like it's coming to an end, right? And then your surroundings, they sometimes feel like they belong to an older version of you. Everything is familiar. I mean, nothing has necessarily changed or anything like that, yet something about it, it just doesn't represent you anymore. And right now, you're getting tired of solving the same kind of problems, okay? The same pressure, the same situations. You're just tired. Something inside you knows that your next life is not going to require the same survival patterns, okay? And then things that used to feel normal to you, now they just feel temporary. It could be your routines, it could be your circumstances. You're starting to experience your current life like it's something you're just passing through. Okay. And then you're looking at certain things like you're seeing them for the last time. It could be a familiar place. It could be a person. It could be an everyday routine. Nothing says that it's ending, but something inside you experiences it differently. Okay. And then you're losing emotional attachment to things that you once needed. Okay. You still appreciate them. You're not angry with them or anything like that. They simply don't have the same hold on you anymore. Okay. And then you're starting to feel bigger than your current circumstances right now, right? It's like the situation is still real. You still have the same responsibilities, but you no longer feel your current circumstances completely define who you are. And as I'm saying this right now, my ear is ringing. My left ear is ringing right now. Okay. I'm getting a download right now as I'm making this video. Okay. Now let's get back to this. Okay. Your current problems, they feel real without feeling permanent, right? You still deal with them. You still feel the pressure, yet there is a quiet part of you that refuses to believe that this is going to last forever. Okay. Now another thing. Okay. You're getting impatient with repetition right now. It's like the same conversations, the same patterns. You're getting tired of this, okay? You're getting impatient with this. Your spirit feels hungry for an experience that you haven't lived yet, okay? And then you're starting to feel like you've learned everything that this version of life can teach you, okay? You understand the pattern. You know how it ends. Repeating it just feels unnecessary, doesn't it? And then things that you used to chase, they don't have the same power over you anymore. I'm talking about certain approvals. I'm talking about certain recognition, right? Your attention is being pulled towards something of more value, okay? And then you're starting to feel emotionally wealthier before becoming financially wealthier, okay? You appreciate peace differently. You notice what really matters in your life right now. Your definition of richness is changing before the numbers do, okay? And then you're less afraid of losing things that don't fit you. It could be certain connections, certain people, certain situations, right? Holding on to it, it just feels uncomfortable, okay? It just feels better to just let things go, okay? And then you're starting to notice how much of your life was built around survival. You're noticing what you tolerated. You're noticing what you accepted, okay? You're recognizing behaviors that made sense for the survival mode, but it's not going to make sense into this abundance chapter that you're stepping into, okay? And also, your old reactions, they don't come as naturally anymore. Something happens and you almost respond, you almost react the way that you used to. Then you catch yourself because that reaction, it doesn't feel like you anymore, okay? And then you're starting to feel weird participating in certain conversations, aren't you? It's like the negativity, it just continues and everybody else joins in. But internally, you feel like you've already moved somewhere else. So you find yourself kind of like, just parting your way, just getting away from stuff like that, right? And also, you don't need to win every single argument anymore. You know what you know, right? And you don't need to have the last word. Some battles, they just suddenly feel too small for where your mind is going, right? And then your attention is becoming harder for this old reality to capture right now, okay? The drama happens, the distractions, they appear out of nowhere, but they don't hold you as long as they used to, okay? And then you're starting to notice how often the old you operated on autopilot, okay? The same responses, the same choices. You're now catching patterns while they're happening right now in real time, okay? And then you're having moments where your old life almost looks strange, okay? You look around, everything is technically normal and things like that, but for a second, you wonder how you stayed comfortable there for so long, okay? And also, you're starting to feel finished before anything has officially ended, okay? Nothing has closed. Nobody announced a change or anything like that. Yet emotionally, you already feel yourself moving on, okay? And also, you're losing interest in explaining why you're changing, okay? People, they're going to notice, and people, they're going to ask questions. But you don't fully understand it yourself, do you? You just know you can't go backwards to who you used to be, right? And also, your old comfort zone is becoming uncomfortable, okay? Familiar, it doesn't automatically mean peaceful. And predictable, it doesn't automatically mean right. Right? Right? So what once made you feel safe can now make you feel trapped, okay? That's because you are becoming a different version of yourself, and reality is losing its grip on you right now, okay? Now, you're starting to notice what you've been settling for also. And it's not because it's terrible. It's not because you're ungrateful. You simply know there's a difference between being thankful and just staying somewhere that you have already outgrown, okay? And also, you're becoming more aware of what drains your life, okay? It could be certain routines. It could be certain obligations. You know, things you used to tolerate, they automatically are becoming impossible for you to ignore right now, okay? And you're starting to want experiences you've never cared about before. It could be something like more freedom. It could be more exposure, okay? Your desires are expanding beyond the boundaries of your current environment right now, okay? Now, I'm telling you, reality is losing its grip on you right now, okay? Your wealthy reality is starting to feel like relief instead of excitement, okay? Less fantasy, less hype. What you really crave is the feeling of finally being able to just exhale, just breathe, just be free, okay? That's what you are actually craving, okay? Now, I'm telling you, another thing that's happening to you right now, you're thinking about what financial freedom would remove out of your life, okay? Constant calculations and constant financial pressure, things like that. Wealth is beginning to represent what you'll no longer have to carry. Okay. And also, you're becoming tired of making decisions from necessity. Okay. What can I afford? What do I have to do? You know, thoughts like that. Okay. Something inside you wants to experience what it feels like to choose from just genuine options. Okay. And then you're starting to notice how different life would feel with options. Okay. You're starting to say things like, you know, man, I would like to have that. I would like that. You just want to have those options in your life. See, your wealthy reality represents having freedom to choose instead of just feeling concerned, okay? And then you're becoming less emotionally attached to your current bank balance, okay? You know what it says. You handle reality. You handle what you have to handle. But you don't want today's numbers deciding who you believe you can become, right? And then you're starting to separate your identity from struggle right now. You may experience difficulty and adversity and things like that. You may be under pressure sometimes, but you're realizing that experiencing struggle and being a struggling person are not the same thing, okay? And they're not. Okay, because you're starting to just adopt an abundance mindset. You're getting away from the scarcity mindset. I'm telling you, you are evolving into the wealthy version of yourself. Just like I said in the video before, okay, you're emerging. The wealthy version of yourself is starting to emerge right now, okay? Now, reality is losing its grip on you too at the same time, all right? You're beginning to feel like your current reality is behind you. It's behind you even while you're still in it, okay? Physically, you're here, you're in this reality, but emotionally, something has already shifted, okay? Your internal identity feels like it's just several steps ahead, okay? And then you're starting to see your current life as a chapter instead of your whole story. This is real, this matters, but it doesn't have to represent everything your life will ever become, okay? And then certain limitations are starting to feel almost offensive, okay? That's just life. Be realistic, things like that. Something inside you immediately pushes back against being told where your ceiling is, okay? And then you're becoming less impressed by what once looked like success, okay? Your definition has changed. Your priorities have changed. What looked rich from the outside, it doesn't necessarily feel wealthy to you anymore, okay? And then you're starting to want your life to feel different, not just look different. You want the peace. You want that freedom, right? You don't want just to be wealthy. You don't want the wealthy image. You want the internal experience of abundance, okay? And then you're catching yourself mentally refusing your old future, okay? The same routines forever, the same financial pressure forever. Something inside you says no. That cannot be where it ends, okay? All right? Now I'm telling you, reality is losing its grip on you. Your current reality is starting to feel like too predictable, okay? You know tomorrow's routine. You know what next week's pattern is going to be. A part of you is craving a life that contains possibilities that you cannot predict yet, okay? And then you're starting to feel a strange distance from the person that you used to be, okay? You remember how they thought. You remember how they accepted things all the time. But you can't completely access that mindset anymore. That's because you're adopting that abundance mindset right now, okay? Now, you're becoming more comfortable with the unknown, okay? You don't know exactly what's next. You don't know how the staircase is going to end. You don't have every answer. But staying exactly the same is beginning to feel scarier than changing, right? And then you're starting to feel like something is missing from a life that you feel to be complete in your life. Nothing obvious has disappeared. Nothing necessarily went wrong or anything like that. It's like your capacity expanded, okay? That's what's going on. So the same reality no longer feels like the same space inside of you, okay? I'm telling you, when the inner world changes, the outer world has to change, okay? Now, right now, you're experiencing moments where the future feels emotionally closer than your past, right? It's like you think less about what happens and you feel pulled towards about what could happen. Your attention is spending more time in possibility than history, okay? And then you're starting to notice a gap between what you see and what you feel, okay? Your eyes could see the old reality, but your inner world feels something completely different. That gap, it can make this strange feeling confusing because internally you've moved before externally anything can prove it, okay? All right? Now, you're becoming less willing to shrink yourself to fit into this current reality, okay? Now look at this. You're feeling, you know what I'm saying? It's like right now you have bigger thoughts, you have bigger desires, right? And instead of reducing yourself to fit to that life, you're beginning to question whether the life needs to expand around you right now. And that's exactly what needs to happen. Because the more you change, reality will begin to change around you, right? See, nature wanted to get up in here for a second. You know what I'm saying? That's cool with me. That's fine with me, right? Now, reality is losing its grip on you right now. The wealthy version of you feels more familiar than the older version of you. You understand their peace. You understand their freedom, right? See, the person that you're becoming is starting to feel more natural than the identity that you're leaving, okay? And then you're starting to feel like you're between two realities right now. It's like one is still visible and one is beginning internally. And that middle space can feel strange because the old reality hasn't disappeared, but it doesn't completely own you anymore, okay? The old reality is losing its grip on you, okay? That's exactly what's happening. And the new reality is starting to manifest, all right? Now, another thing, your old reality still knows how to trigger you, okay? But it can't keep you there for long, right? The bills, it's like the bills they hit, the pressure it returns in your life. But somewhere underneath, the reaction, okay? The reaction. Another version of you keeps reminding you that this moment is not going to be the entire story, that it's going to end, okay? It's like something tells you, man, this isn't going to last forever. You know, keep moving forward, all right? Keep on listening to that voice. That's intuition. That's your future wealthy version of yourself, all right? Reality is losing its grip on you. That's why things feel different right now. That's why things are happening to you right now that you really can't explain sometimes. That's because the new reality is starting to come in, okay? You're starting to shift into this new version of yourself, all right? That's why a lot of things are starting to fall out of your life, because the universe is removing things out of your life that no longer can go into this next chapter. And even jobs, okay? Even certain jobs. You find yourself at the job, you're just bored at certain jobs, okay? You're shifting, okay? It's a shift that's happening to you right now, all right? Now, thank you so much for tuning into Millionaire Mindset, where everything happens in divine time by divine design, but you are the divine design. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comment on this video, and hype this video up. Until the next video, Millionaire Mindset signing off.